Welcome back to the Motivating Force podcast. I'm Josue, an aspiring Marine Corps officer. I'm currently finishing up my bachelor's degree in criminal justice and finishing up ROTC. And joining me as always, we have Justin, a motivational speaker who's always more than excited to share all of our wonderful topics with all of our wonderful listeners. I know we're a little bit late on this one, seeing how Valentine's Day was last Sunday, but I feel like we should go into the origins of Valentine's Day, give you some of the lore behind it, and just talk about it in general, because a lot of people have this negative connotation to the holiday, but we're going to kind of clear that up and give reasoning behind said argument. So to go into the origins, as we usually do on the Origins of segment, we're going to give a little bit of the history. The Christian church, as we all know, have always been trying to take over pagan holidays. From Halloween to Saturnalia, we're always trying to Christianize and take over more so then we can bring people into the Catholic Christian church, correct?
Oh, correct, yeah.
So there was this holiday that was celebrated. It was a pagan holiday that was actually celebrated on February 15th, and it was called Lupercalia. And it was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as to the Roman founders Romulus and Remus.
Is that what they're calling them now? Fertility festivals?
Well, if you want to keep it PC, then yeah, fertility festivals.
I'm sure you'll hear that in the court of law one day. It's going to come up.
So to begin this festival, what they would do is that they would take the members of the Luperci, so the people that are celebrating this, to the sacred cave, where they would see the infants Romulus and Remus, which are the founders of Rome, and then they would sacrifice goats for fertility and a dog for purification. So it was like sacrificial offerings to these deities, and that's part of that festival that they would have on February 15th.
Seems to be a common thing. Every holiday always involves sacrifice of something, some type of animal. So,
well, who's also to say that that's bad, because you can have a hell of a feast afterwards.
Yeah, well, they did. I mean, that was always a well-known thing about it, because the gods would feast off of the aromas,
and then the humans would feast off of the flesh.
Right.
So then they would strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take to the streets. This is where it gets a little bit creepy, right? So remember, this is what Valentine's Day originated as. So they would gently slap both women and the crop fields with the goat hide that's dipped in the sacrificial blood, right? Because remember, this is for fertility and for purification. So imagine priests just walking up and down your streets, just slapping your woman with some goat hide dipped in blood. You're going to feel some type of way about that one.
I mean, women already get slapped with blood once a month.
Oof.
Do they really need that on Valentine's Day too?
Oof. Well, far from being fearful, Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides because it was believed to make them more fertile in the coming year. So if you're a lady that would like to be pregnant this year, you would be you'd be willing to get that slap in the face with that hide.
You're just giving me a lot of ideas that I don't think would work.
What do you mean?
Just in modern times.
Just going up to random people and be like, hey, you're going to be pregnant this year, smack.
Yeah, I guess,
You're psycho.
People just want it, I don't know. They want to get it. Hey, they'll get it after this episode. Y'all get ready. I'm just going to, modern times, man, we're going to load up a super soaker.
Oh my goodness, with just sacrificial blood, dog blood? Goat
blood. I got a dog. Shit, we'll make this happen.
So later in the day, according to this legend, all the young women in the city would place their names into this big urn. Their city's bachelors, all these lucky men, would each choose a name and become paired with for the year with these chosen women. These matches often ended in marriage, so it was kind of like how they chose their spouses. Just kind of luck of the draw. Doesn't make much sense to me.
Does it, though?
What do you mean? Explain your answer to me.
Okay, well, if we talk about, luck of the draw for getting together and getting married, I mean, how is that much different than what we do today? I mean, today you base everything off of a profile picture and a short description, And half the time, the profile picture doesn't even match what you're going to see in real life.
Well, that's a good point.
So, I mean, it's still luck of the draw today. Like,
yeah, but then you have the chance to meet the person and then decide if you're going to continue. This is like, you're in it for a year regardless. It's just most of the time it would happen to end in marriage. Because remember, about the people. Because remember, they would get smacked with the goat hide, which then means that they got pregnant that year. Got stuck with that.
I wonder if they had child support in the Roman.
I don't think that was a thing.
No?
No. Well, back to the origins of Valentine's Day. So Lupercalia survived the initial rise of Christianity, but it was outlawed, as everything was if you're against the Catholic or Christian church. It was deemed unchristian, obviously, at the end of the 5th century when Pope Gelasius declared February 14th St. Valentine's Day. It was not until much later, however, that the day became definitely associated with love. What is associated? During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February 14th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day should be the day for romance. And this is how we started associating, like, Cupid being involved with it, which I'm going to talk about Cupid in the near future, because obviously you relate Valentine's Day with Cupid. But then that whole romantic vibe to the holiday in general.
Oh, so we talk about birds getting together, and then we have Cupid, who just happens to be flying around all the time. Oh, correct. Okay. We're getting some connections here now.
But I also had this cool little snippet here because I was told that Valentine's Day revolved around how there was this guy that was locked up, and then he wrote this letter to a loved one. Yeah, did you hear something similar? Then, like, that's where we get Valentine's Day cards.
The only thing I've actually never heard growing up anything about Valentine's Day other than the rule of thumb being don't buy chocolates or flowers for more than one girl each year.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet to say.
Yeah. I think that's legit. That's the only thing I've heard about Valentine's Day.
Well, okay. Well, then I'm going to define what I just said a little bit more because, like I said, middle school, I was told this story about, like, Saint Valentine or whatever. He was locked up. He started writing letters to this lady, and then they got out. So his DMs got leaked, and then they started a holiday around it. But there was an English poet who was recorded as the first St. Valentine's Day celebration. He wrote a poem in 1375 called The Parlement of Fowls, or Foles. Writing for this was sent to St. Valentine's Day. One, every fowl cometh there choose his mate. And that was the first initial... that's the commencement of this holiday. That's what marked it as, like, this is a thing that we have to do every year.
I mean, it makes sense. You can see the efficiency in that, right? Because you get prepared, you get ready, you go to this festival, and you dedicate it to love and romance and fertility, and you find a lifelong partner. And I mean, that day and age, you're not sitting there swiping right, swiping left on your phone all day, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
And then to go into the Valentine's Day letters, like the whole concept of writing these poems / memoirs or whatever to our significant others, this is actually the story that I was talking about. So the guy's name wasn't Valentine or Saint Valentine's. He was the Duke of Orleans. His name was Charles. Charles. This was 100 years after that English poet. And this was in 1415. He was the nephew, I want to say, of Ivan the Mad. And he was called Ivan the Mad because I believe he was schizophrenic or something. So Charles, the Duke of Orleans, he was married to his cousin, who was Ivan the Mad's daughter, right? Because as they did royal bloodlines and everything, you have to keep it all political. She eventually died out of childbirth. And then a few years down the line, his family was killed off. So his mom, his dad, and then he believed that the brothers of his wife, which were his cousins, assassinated the parents, right? So then as he goes to retaliate, he gets locked up. But right before he gets locked up, whatever, he meets this lady. Gets married again. So, whoops, I skipped a little bit too far. So then as he's locked up, he starts writing this poem, and I wrote it out. It's not called anything, but it's actually, it's a letter that he wrote to his wife that she actually never got to see because he died 25 years in jail, right? So then it goes, "My very gentle Valentine, since for me you were born too soon, and I for you was born too late. God forgives him who was estranged, me from you for the whole year. I am already sick of love, my very gentle Valentine." And that's why Hallmark declared, we need to buy cards for everybody.
I mean, isn't Valentine's Day a Hallmark holiday to begin with at this point?
Well, that's the argument that we're trying to clear up after I get through the origins of everything.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to think of, like, well, it's usually the people that don't have Valentines, right? That have to argue, oh, this is just a like Hallmark holiday that they made it for money and they're just getting money out of us, so then whatever, right? That's the argument that you usually hear for Valentine's Day. But we, as, you know, people that are in relationships, you're married, I have a girlfriend, we have Valentine's, and we're going to kind of clear that up so that it's more of a general reasoning why it's kind of like, keep the pagan holiday? What?
Well, okay, yeah. No, I get what you're saying, because there's an importance to it. It should be a good reminder for people, especially people who are in relationships. Like, if you're not asking your significant other, right, and not even talk about marriage, right, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, and you didn't ask them to be your Valentine this year, you messed up, you know? It is that good reminder to keep the romance alive, kind of how it was originally, where it was the holiday was dedicated towards it.
Yeah.
So now we can use it as a good reminder, and maybe not so much the Hallmark effect.
Well, let's get into that. Let's get into this conversation, and then we'll come back with like fun facts of the Valentine's holiday. So, like you were saying, it should be a reminder, because it's also like, I just feel personally, from my personal opinion, I don't see the need to be told you need to dedicate this specific day to your significant other. I can get hate all day long for it. That's where I stand. If I'm in a healthy relationship, I feel like I should be able to give them days that are just as equivalent or just the same as any Valentine's Day. You know, have those dates with your significant other. Treat them the way that you should on this magical day. What's so bad about that?
Yeah, okay.
Like, why do I need to be told, listen, on this holiday you need to buy $20 worth of cards and like candies and stuffed animals? For what? Just...
Well, I'll tell you, it's to show your appreciation.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You're doing that throughout the year regardless.
You should be. I agree with that. I get what you're saying, because that's the point of like, don't forget to love your spouse.
Yeah.
Come on, no shit, right?
Yeah, but then it's like you'll have the people that, this is a point that I wanted to make, that they kind of feel, let's say you're in a relationship for a year, your first Valentine's with that person, right? The significant other, whoever that may be, can kind of feel resentment about the relationship if they don't receive what they're expecting a typical Valentine's Day gift to be, or Valentine's Day to be. You know, you think champagne, restaurant, dressing up nice, all around. Like, you get the gifts, the chocolates, everything. And then if the other person doesn't give that, that's going to cause some sort of resentment, because you have this idea of what this holiday is supposed to be.
Well, that goes along really well with one of the fun facts I had to give. So I'm going to just give that now to you guys. 1 in 14 adults say that they've broken up with someone on Valentine's Day. And out of those people surveyed, the group of people surveyed for that, 6% said that they've broken up with somebody just before, and an additional 6% said they've broken up with somebody shortly after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, some people feel like they have this overwhelming...
does more harm than good.
Yeah, like they're so nervous about what they're gonna do for the other person that they're like, okay, let me just break it up, because I don't want to either spend all the money and then it go to waste and they break up with me, or like you said, it happens after too. You spend all this money and then they break up with you. So then you get this resentment for the holiday, or you get the resentment for the relationship in general, because there's so much weight around this holiday. But it's like, for a healthy relationship, I feel like you should be giving Valentine's Day-esque like dates or whatever you want to call them throughout the year.
But don't you feel that's still more of like a
okay?
I want to say like a cultural issue, because we kind of see this type of counterproductivity as well with holidays such as like Christmas.
Yeah.
There's more burglaries and robberies around Christmas than any other time of the year.
Yeah, because you feel like you need to give your gifts to your family, and if you can't do that, then you have to go steal other people's to make ends meet. Yeah. That's why we kind of break down holidays like this. I hate to be so negative about it, but it's kind of like that approach that I want you to also take into mind, that we're not just trying to tell you to focus on your relationship one day a year. You should be focusing on your relationship or yourself, whoever that may be, just year round. You shouldn't just dedicate one day specifically for it, because if you're going to be living with the person, you should be doing it more often than just once.
Yeah, I think the only people who have a good excuse for having Valentine's Day being significantly better of a day than any other year is really for people under the age of 18. The middle schoolers and the high school sweethearts and stuff. Yeah, that holiday is for you, like, as far as that type of standard traditional thing that we see today with it, that makes sense. But moving away from that, getting into adulthood and real lifehood,
yeah.
it doesn't apply.
Also, disclaimer, I should say, yeah, this whole point has been made towards the adults. Like, I'm not talking to children here. This is more for the people that are seeing their significant other, like, a little bit more seriously and more often than just seeing them at school or whatever.
But is that not the question? With adults, do we take our relationships more seriously than we did when we were in high school?
Well, hopefully not the ones that you were just relying on the social media page for information on. Hopefully the ones that, you got to know the person a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Could just be a sign, right?
What do you mean a sign?
As far as not meeting those standards for having this significantly better romance on Valentine's Day compared to the rest of the year. Because if that causes a breakup, I mean, what did you have to begin with, right?
Oh, okay. So you're trying to say, like, that's the warning ahead of wasted time.
Yeah.
I guess, but
too far off topic?
A little bit too far off topic. This is a whole different conversation.
Let's bring it back in.
All right, reel it in. So going back, what other facts or snippets you have?
Well, I guess I do have two that I do want to save for a little bit later because they were a little upsetting to me. So I might go into that a little too far. So we'll get to that. But one that I do have for you is, upon Googling Valentine's Day, just that, Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Easy research.
On Google, you get, well, it's for the research purposes, right? Because you get top stories. Okay? The first two top stories, you ready for these headlines?
Throw them at me.
Okay, the first one was by CNN. And I quote, "Obnoxious Valentine's Day gifts for your ex."
Nice. Kind of rubbing it in their face. So it's a thing
about talking about, like, mailing glitter bombs to your ex on Valentine's Day. Wow. Again, talking about counterproductivity.
Yeah.
The second headline was by New York Post that talked about a local sheriff's department asking for people to turn in their wanted exes.
What? Okay, you're going to have to explain that a little bit more. Okay.
So if your ex is on probation or
just
not probation, they're wanted, right? They have a warrant. They were just kindly asking people to, hey, remember when that person broke up with you? Yeah, you should turn them into the police.
Wow, that's incredible. Can you believe that?
Top two stories, both of which, nothing romantic whatsoever involved with that. It's all that petty. It's all that get back. It's that me, the now, the instant gratification. I was just seeing it through, man, and I was just like, this makes sense, man. We destroy all these things that could have some type of good intrinsic value today, you know?
So then why not just get rid of it? The holiday in general. Why not just send glitter bombs to your ex every other day of the year?
I mean, you should. Is that not is that not the topic for debate, right? Like if you just got out of a relationship. Yeah. If I just got out of a relationship with somebody and she mailed me something in the first 3 months.
Yeah. Are you going to open it?
No. Would you?
No.
I mean, even now, like, just, whenever we have customers that come up to our shop and they bring us, like, baked goods or whatever, like, we have the best customers up at our shop. And they'll bring us homemade cookies and cupcakes and, I mean, whole platters of enchiladas sometimes, right? There's all kinds of food. The very first question I ask them as soon as they put it on my hands, I go, hey, yeah, nice, thank you so much. How's your car running? And they're like, oh, it's great. That check engine light hasn't come back on, nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm going to tear this up. And they were just like, well, the brakes still make noise, but it's okay. I'll just bring it in later for that. I'd be like, oh, yeah, cool. Hey, Kyle, you want these cookies? I don't want them.
Yeah, that's how you know if it's safe to eat or not.
Right.
That same, that's amazing, dude. Well, let's get on a lighter topic here. So Cupid, right? Now, what's Cupid have to do with the holiday, my boy? Everything. Because he's the one that shoots arrows at everybody and makes you fall in love, right? So they say. Cupid is often portrayed as the naked little cherub, the little chubby baby that launches the arrows at the people, makes them fall in love at first sight kind of thing. But he's actually a Roman god in Greek mythology. I just said Roman god. A Greek god in Greek mythology called Eros. You never heard of Eros, right?
Eros? No, actually.
No? So, according to Greek archaic poets, Eros was a handsome mortal. Played with the emotions of the gods and men, using golden arrows to incite love and to avoid disdain and hate. It wasn't until the Hellenistic period that he began to be portrayed as the mischievous, why can't I talk, ever mischievous, chubby child he'd become on Valentine's Day cards.
I mean, that's a little bit of a downplay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They kind of turn you... He
was this immortal god that
literally Zeus blamed you for because he's out here hitting on ducks and stuff.
Well, it's basically like Loki. You're this trickster god, and then he's kind of being put as like this little chubby baby.
Yeah.
It's like innocent. You play tricks on the gods, this is what they're going to do to you kind of thing.
Makes sense. I don't know. I always saw that as more like the background scene meaning of it. So like I always saw like he'd be the cherub and whatnot because it was like it signified.
I'm rubbing off on you, brother.
You are. It signified like innocence and purity.
Yeah.
Was always my thought on it, but I mean maybe that's the poetic side coming out.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, I like that.
Speaking of playing those tricks and those pranks on people all the time, and I get that this is probably more of a publicity type of deal or whatnot, but I just found it so amazing to me because again, talking about people who like to really get off topic with things and just like us and just really turn things around, right? Like you think about Valentine's Day, who's going around thinking about their ex as the first thing? Like why?
Well, maybe the people that are single, not the people in current relationships.
Yeah, but then you get people in current relationships, and something that I heard wonderfully on a local radio station, by the way, there's this little gig going on where one of their sponsored law firms is advertising one free divorce on Valentine's Day to one lucky couple, as they called them. Will we get a free divorce from that law firm on Valentine's Day?
Talk about trying to make a profit, am I right?
You know?
Wow.
I thought it was amazing. I heard that and I was just like, you know what? Makes sense. It's one of those things that just make you just lose that little bit of faith, you know?
Well, it's like taking the conversation that we're having right now and then actually doing it to the extreme, like actually trying to make a statement of doing the opposite, right? Because it's like going to Christmas and being the Grinch. Instead of giving the gifts or spending the time with family, you're trying to ruin that time. So you're taking this holiday that is supposed to be joyous and wonderful or whatever, and you're doing the opposite, which is very upsetting.
Yeah, I get it, though, because it's kind of how you gain that popularity, right? Always being the different one, the standout.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous, though. All right, so my take home for all of this is I just feel like we shouldn't be told that we have to celebrate our significant other or the relationship in general on a specific day. I feel like healthy relationships should be able to just continue to go on the way that they're going. If they are healthy, they should have those dates, those times to feel like you're young again, you know, make that flirt with your, like in my instance, I make forts in the living room with my girlfriend all the time, and it helps us feel like we're kids again, you know, like we're just playing around and making that fort, watching movies all night, order some pizza, some candles, you know, kind of make it romantic. You don't have to go out to this fancy dinner. You don't have to spend all this money. But if you're just being like, have those intimate moments with your significant other, you have those moments where like you just surprise them with like handwritten notes or cards or whatever. I'll sometimes, you know, when you get out of the shower and it's all steamy, write down a little note with your finger, you're ugly or whatever, you know, something romantic. And then when they take a shower and it gets all steamy again, it's still there. Priceless. But little things like that, instead of just having to be told that we need to spend like hundreds of dollars or whatever to meet these expectations of what a holiday is supposed to be, I don't like it.
I get it, man. Because it's the same way we kind of had that apprehension when we talk about Christmas and whatnot, is the whole capitalism aspect of the holiday. And it's like, there's a time and place for it, but in the same way, you don't need it. You don't need to do those things. And if you do, analyze why. There's something going on there that probably shouldn't be. You know, and it's always going to be those little gifts that matter the most, and they're always going to be the hardest gifts to give because they require actual thinking. It's not something you can just pay for and mindlessly like, here you go. I got you a card.
Yeah, I got you a chocolate box.
Yeah, because, you know, what do? The first thing they're going to do is open up the card and look for what you wrote. Think about that. Think about the last time you opened up a card, right?
You look for the money.
You didn't. Well, you know, if it's from grandma. But, like, you don't open it up and read what is already, like, imprinted on the card.
Yeah.
You open it up and the first thing you read is, well, you know, you look for that pen ink first.
Yeah.
And you read what's written down.
In fact, you know what's funny? Since Valentine's Day was Sunday, I actually took the card that I bought from the store or whatever, and I actually crossed out certain words to re-put in my words and how I would say things, because I knew that would make her laugh. You know what I mean? So it's kind of best of both worlds. I am writing the handwritten stuff from the heart, whatever, but then I'm kind of also making it a joke with what the card says. I'm like, nah, forget that. It's going to be all what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying?
I do. I
then
appreciate that.
Again, like I'm saying, it's not that I'm not celebrating the holiday, because I'll still do it. I just feel for the health of everybody else's relationship and their mental health about the holiday, instead of being so negative all the time. And like you're saying, there's people advertising free divorces or advertising for you to mail your ex glitter bombs and all this stuff. Like, we shouldn't even have that option for it to be a thing.
I get it. I do. And I mean, man, my take home point is just, obviously it's the same thing. You know, you should have more than that one day a year to show your love for your significant other. Plain and simple. I mean, that's an easy take home message. But I wonder, what's our take home message for all the single ladies and gentlemen out there today?
I think what you should be doing is rewatching all of the videos that we've put out, subscribe to the page, like this video, and if you feel like you agree with what we're saying, you should comment down below. All of our videos come out Mondays and Wednesdays. Social media links are in the description and at the end of this video.
And hey, look, even if you disagree, still leave that comment. We would love to hear from that even more. I'd love to grow my knowledge on any topic whatsoever. But we do drop new videos every Monday and Wednesday, 8 a.m. EST. Be sure to check it out, and especially for all of our single ladies and all of our gamers out there, all the single guys out there. You know, we're here for you. We're here for you. We got plenty of content for you guys to watch up on, and so feel the love and go on and get it.